Okay, and how do you respond to Ambassador Foley's claim, shared by all the people who signed the memo, that the ban is a betrayal of American values?
The ambassador is certainly entitled to his opinion on that. There are many, obviously it's very clear that this policy has many opponents, but fundamentally it's designed to try to keep the United States safe.
She had her quotes loaded. Her narrative was already written. She wasn't there to find information, she was there to create a moment. But this 33-year career professional sat across from Ilhan Omar in a congressional hearing and did something most people in Washington never do. He refused to take the bait. What happened next was one of the cleanest political dismantlings I've ever seen. Stay right here.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Mr. Ramatowski, you've been with the State Department for 33 years, right?
Over 33 years, yes.
Oh, wonderful. Has it been typical for more than 100 people to sign dissent memos on a given policy?
That would be atypical, I think.
Atypical. Has it been typical for policy to drive several SOs to publicly resign in protest?
There have been Foreign Service officers who've resigned in the past over various policies, that's true.
In June of 2017, between the second and the third version of the Muslim ban, more than 100 diplomats signed a dissent memo that said, quote, banning travelers from these 7 countries calls back to some of the worst times in our history. Former consular officer Christopher Richards, who resigned in protest of the Muslim ban, said in an op-ed that the consular officers were not able to issue waivers on their own, that they had to get approval from the State Department. Would that be you? Do you give that approval?
No, that's not correct. The consular officers make the decision on the first 2 prongs of the waiver, national interest and undue hardship, and then the interagency security review provides the guidance on the security prong.
So that's not a decision you get to make, no. Or is the White House involved in that decision?
Not at all.
Okay. Sarah Gartner, another former FSO who resigned in protest over the Muslim ban, told CNN that fellow officers, quote, felt pressure to approve as few folks as possible for the waiver. She also said that the Muslim ban had been, quote, reworked and sanitized by layers of bureaucracy with people distracted by the next terrible thing. It can be easy to forget it's even happening. Well, it looks like Congress hasn't forgotten. And Madam Chair, I have a signed testimony from 4 former FSOs that I would like to enter into record.
It's put into the record by unanimous consent.
Thank you. Ambassador John Foley, who quit his post as ambassador to Panama in 2018, said he could no longer represent President Trump and still hold true to the value that make this country great. Among the policies he listed was the Muslim ban. In the end, how many diplomats and consular officers signed the dissent memo protesting the ban?
I don't have an exact number for you, Congresswoman. I know that some did.
Mm-hmm. Will you be able to get us that number?
I can't guess that number, no.
How do you respond to his claim that the consular officers have to get clear waivers with your office?
I would say, as I said before, that that's not correct. The consular officers make the determination on the first 2 prongs of the waiver, national interest and undue hardship. And the security check, as I testified, is conducted back here in Washington. Now, if a consular officer is...
So you're saying his claim is false?
Which claim? That Washington is making the decisions?
Yes.
Yes, that's not correct.
Mm-hmm. And how do you respond to Ms. Gartner's claim that the officers are implicitly or explicitly pressured to deny waivers?
We are not implicitly or explicitly pressuring anyone to act in any way contrary to the law.
Okay, and how do you respond to Ambassador Foley's claim, shared by all the people who signed the memo, that the ban is a betrayal of American values?
The ambassador is certainly entitled to his opinion on that. There are many, obviously it's very clear that this policy has many opponents, but fundamentally it's designed to try to keep the United States safe.
And to our other two panelists, was Stephen Miller's role in formulating the 3 reiterations of the Muslim ban? What was his role?
I'm not aware of any role played by Stephen Miller.
And Ms. Newman?
I was not at the department in January. I did not start until late February.
Okay. And what instructions were DHS and state given from the White House as how to implement the Muslim ban?
I wasn't given any instruction from the White House.
Again, ma'am, I was not at the department in January 2017.
The department was not consulted about the first executive order.
What you just watched was not a hearing. It was a political ambush, and the target refused to go down. Ilhan Omar walked into that room loaded for bear. She had her talking points, her resigned diplomats, her carefully selected quotes, all of it designed for one purpose: to manufacture a headline. She wanted Edward Ramatowski, a man who has served this country at the State Department for over 33 years, to either validate her narrative or look like a villain on camera. That was the only play she was running. But he never gave her the shot. Let's talk about the waiver claim first. Omar came in citing a former Foreign Service officer who alleged that consular officers couldn't issue waivers without Washington's sign-off, implying Ramatowski was the bottleneck, the gatekeeper, the guy shutting people out. His response? Clear, calm, and on the record. That's not correct. No anger, no defensiveness, just facts. He explained the actual process. Officers handle the first 2 prongs, national interest and undue hardship, independently. The interagency security review handles the security prong. He dismantled her entire premise before she could even build on it. Then came the feelings argument. Omar cites an officer who said she felt pressure to deny waivers. Felt, that's the word. Ramatowski didn't get into a debate about someone's feelings. He came back with a legal statement. We are not implicitly or explicitly pressuring anyone to act contrary to the law. That's how you handle an accusation built on emotion. You respond with policy and fact. But the best moment, the one that told you everything about this exchange, was the final trap. Omar asks him to respond to the claim that the travel ban is a betrayal of American values. Think about what that question is doing. She's giving him 2 options: agree and get fired, or disagree and get painted as a monster. That is the oldest play in the progressive political playbook. And he didn't nibble. He gave the ambassador his entitled to his opinion and walked it straight back to purpose. Fundamentally, it is designed to try to keep the United States safe. Done. No moral crusade, no political theater, just the function of the policy. He was there to talk about process. She was there to build a narrative. And in the end, the professional with 33 years of facts beat the politician with a folder full of talking points. Now, drop your take in the comments. What was the single most satisfying moment in that exchange for you? If you are watching this channel because you are tired of the political theater and want the real breakdown, hit that like button right now. Share this with someone who needs to see it, subscribe so you never miss a video, and let me know in the comments, what was your most shocking moment from this hearing?